In World War II, you have surrender documents. The surrender documents from the Japanese are totally complete. He translates them. He gets them translated in English, and he shows what they look like. Everyone and their brother, from the emperor on down to all the different generals and whatever, the major different factions of the army and the political apparatus, surrendered. They all signed it. When it comes down to the Nazi documents, well, there's some holes missing. Yeah, there's some big holes. That party never actually surrendered. I mean, you can get the book, you can read the documents for yourself. Now, does that mean they didn't? I don't know what happened. No one knows what happened. But they didn't. I mean, it's not there. There's whole segments missing. You can read it for yourself and form your own conclusion. But the evidence that he presents in actual documentation becomes overwhelming at a certain point in time. Now, what does that mean for us? I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. When you say all hope is lost, one of the challenges for Europeans is we tend to, actually people period, rabbits period. We have our peer group. You see all the people around you. Maybe you see your fellow white nationalists. Maybe you see your fellow Stormfront or Bugs or whatever. You have the person at your job that's your peer level. You think alike. You read the same literature and whatever. You see all the stupid animals, the sheeple, a mile behind you. You see millions of them, don't you? That's obvious. That's what you see is what you can get. But what you don't see is that under natural law, for every stupid animal you have a mile in front of you, for every 1,000 stupid animals you have a mile behind you, you must have one very bright white rabbit a mile ahead of you. That's natural law, isn't it? There's always someone smarter. There's always someone faster. And all I can do is send you down a particular channel of info and to get your head out of your tail and start reading what your enemy's reading, because your enemy's panicking. They've been panicking since 2007 in a way you can't imagine, because they had to have their stuff done and it's falling apart. The people running Anglosphere are panicking. They're acting very irrational. They're going after every target they can find. And I'm going to talk about that a little more when I talk about Mr. Burr. Or I don't know if I got James Van Braun or whatever his name is that shot up the Holocaust Museum. I'm going to go into that. So when it comes down to our history, everything's wide sky. Everything's under revision. And right now, everything you know is up for grabs. In fact, the less you realize it, the more it is up for grabs. I realize that everything I knew or I thought I knew becomes up for grabs. When you have groups like Shark Hunters putting out what they put out, I mean, all you have to do is go to their website and look at their membership list. You're not dealing with stupid animals. You're dealing with someone putting out a message, that someone is looking to put out a message and put it out very broadly in front of your face. I mean, they're putting stuff right in front of people's faces in those KTB reports every month. So much so that our enemy is panicked. They've been panicking a lot since 2006, like no one's ever seen, acting like irrational wild animals. You start walking into UFW halls with an ATF, harassing people, that's getting desperate. That's getting very desperate. But that's the state of our history. When you deal with Eustace Mullins or the stuff Mr. Farrell's putting out, you're going in some wild directions. But that's where it goes. And this is the type of stuff that is wide sky. I'm usually not aware of it until someone points me in that direction. And when it comes down to, I'll go into a moderate event and how something happened right in front of your face and my face, and I didn't really even see it, but something's obviously going on there. What happened with the what happened in South Africa with the Zulus and the Boer farmers? The Zulu, Jacob Zuma, was up for election, and Jacob Zuma was going to have a big problem getting elected because Mbeki, the good rabbit, bad rabbit, or as I say, the bad rabbit, evil rabbit, Mbeki and Mandela, they don't like him. They don't trust him. You see, it goes back a long ways. I don't personally care. I don't know enough about him. You know, he's always saying kill the white farmer like everyone else. And you know, if you're a Boer, you're thinking about getting out of there. You know, you probably that'd probably still be a good idea. But anyways, Jacob Zuma's trying to come into power, and he kept on having these behind-the-door closed meetings with the Boers. A lot of behind-the-door closed meetings. A lot of them. A lot of them, a lot of them, a lot of them. The Zulus are meeting with the Boers. What's he trying to do? What's going on here? what am I missing? And you know, I get a phone call like, well, what's going on with the Boers? They get themselves a homeland. They get a deal. They cut a deal with the Zulus. You know, Zulus want Zulu land and Boers want Boer land. And I said, you know, no, you know, if you know, Jacob Zuma was a wild card. I don't know anything about him. I just assume he's an enemy. And Botha, he was meeting with Botha, and Botha's always been a traitor. But anyways, I don't know anything. So then I started looking into it, and they started doing several more meetings. The more meetings they're doing, they're behind the door meetings. And the next thing you know, I see some parties in this case in London panicking. I mean, panicking. Our enemy basically started panicking, and I get, you know, you get this back channel feedback, and they're panicking. They're panicking in different press communications. They're panicking about this election and Jacob Zuma. They keep panicking. And anytime, obviously, if your enemy's panicking, it must be something good for you, right? Maybe not tomorrow morning, maybe not next year, but something good happened. And so then we're talking about this, and I'm like, you know, something had to happen there, and I'm assuming something did. Very wide sky, what you don't see type of scenario. You know, Mandela and Mbeki were owned by a different group. Mandela's statue is in London. That should tell you something. I think he's the only African who has himself a statue in London. That should tell you a whole lot. You know, he came up and he was the good cop, and then Mbeki came in there and he started asymmetrically attacking the Boers, because that's what our enemy does. They bought into this second-generation communism, this blended humanity that the people running Anglosphere wanted. Certain groups want it, Protestant and Hebrew alike. And he bought into that, and he played that bad rabbit role very well. They both did. But one of them was pretty nice, and the other one was positively evil. Had the appearance of being nice, but one of them was, you know, Mandela was bad, the other's just evil. And he asymmetrically attacked the Boers, and he did so through immigration, because that's how they do things. They asymmetrically attack. They don't fight up. If he'd square up with the Boers and fight them, he'd lose. He's not going to do that. But he's asymmetrically attacking them through immigrations, through open borders, and that's what they're doing. You know, people are coming in there, going wild, and whatever. Most of the attacks against the Boers are through illegal immigrants or from squatter groups, caught as Zimbabwe or whatever. But he's been doing this. But apparently there was a problem in doing that. You see, if you're asymmetrically attacking a Boer minority, which is at 10%, well, guess who else you're attacking? You're attacking a lot of Zulus. Yeah, I mean, if the Boers aren't safe, well, no one's safe. And that's just, I guess that's just common sense. And I never really thought of that angle. Well, the Zulus, the Zulus aren't interested in being anything but Zulus. And the Zulus don't particularly like the Xhosa, or they don't like some of the Xhosas in charge. They especially don't like the Mandelas or the Mbekis, because they're generally traitors to the Xhosa. And that's you know, our enemy owns all traitors. They're interested in this blended humanity. They're interested in killing everything or whatever. You know, they're basically pink rabbits. They are sellouts. But Jacob Zuma, I was asked a question about him. I know something about his background. I know that he wasn't educated. He wasn't educated in the West, which means he wasn't miseducated. He was educated as Zulu. I also know that his handlers were Soviet. They were old, hardline Soviet, not Anglosphere, not second-generation commie, first-generation commie. He has a totally different set of handlers. He's educated as Zulu, and he has Soviet-style operating procedures, operating tactics, which are very good. I also know that Mbeki has always accused him. You know, he's always watered up to Mandela. Mandela's apparently a pretty social, nice guy, very easy to nosy up to. But at the same time, Mbeki's never trusted him. He's always told Mandela that he's an actor. You know, he's accused Jacob Zuma for a decade and a half or 2 decades of being an actor, saying you're not really with us, you're just an actor. You're an actor. You know, you're just going through the motion. You're not here for this. You know, in other words, he's not really buying into all this. You're still a Zulu. Well, if it comes down to selling out his Zulus, or it ain't going to happen. And I'm assuming something along those lines happened. But anyways, Jacob Zuma came to power, and then all of a sudden you have even more backdoor meetings. And I'm like, what's going on? What are they setting up on down the road? And you have total panic at the disco. Panic at the disco is when our enemies are just huffing and puffing. You got Mbeki saying, I told you so. I don't know, I told you so what? I told you, he's basically saying that, you know, I told you this guy's just an actor. He's not really with us. Well, something happened there. Now, I don't know exactly what, but I'm assuming that for him to secure any of his critical points long term, well, he can't really do a deal with the Xhosa. and he doesn't need them for anything. Oh, but you have some